Hello, welcome to another episode of Rants, Rambles, and Tangents.
Huzzah, we are your nameless hosts. Still waiting for those names. Today we'll be talking about Studio Ghibli and we'll be sharing our thoughts and hopefully we'll try to stay on topic today.
Yeah. I guess I shall preface to Studio Ghibli and, of course, Hayao Miyazaki's works. So Hayao Miyazaki was born January 5th, 1941, in the town of Akebono-cho in Bunkyo, Tokyo. The second of four sons, his father, Kazuya Miyazaki, was the director of Miyazaki Airplane, his brother's company, which manufactured rudders for fighter planes during World War II, which kind of explains Miyazaki's fascination with airplanes.
Well, it explains why he knew so much about the wind when he animated Wind Rises.
Exactly. Somewhat conflicting sources about which work or singular works influenced him to go into animation. One story goes that in his final year of high school, when he was supposed to be studying for exams, he snuck out and watched the animated film Panda and the Magic Serpent, released in 1958. Another source claims that The Snow Queen, released in 1957, a Soviet animated adaptation of The Snow Queen, was one of his favorite films and one of the biggest reasons for him to go into animation. Although, both could be true at the same time. Okay, let's see. In college, he joined the Children's Literature Research Club, which according to him was at the time the closest equivalent to a comic or manga club. In his free time, he would draw manga, where, like many artists, he would never complete these projects, but accumulated thousands of pages worth of ideas. He would frequently approach manga publishers to print his works. In 1963, he joined Toei Animation, and during this time, he was mentored by acclaimed director Yasuo Otsuka, and he would meet what would be a longtime friend and collaborator, Isao Takahata. He began as an in-between artist for the anime film Doggy March, 1963, and the TV series Wolf Boy Ken, 1963. He was a leader in a labor dispute, which goes to show socialist Miyazaki is the best Miyazaki, and became chief secretary for Toei's labor union in 1964. He would move up the ranks and become chief animator and concept artist and scene designer on The Great Adventures of Horace, Prince of the Sun, 1968, which would be the first film directed by his friend Isao Takahata. While working on Toei, Miyazaki was also moonlighting as a manga artist, and under the pseudonym Atsuki Saburo, Miyazaki wrote and illustrated the manga People of the Desert, published in 26 installments between September 1969 and March 1970 in Boys and Girls newspaper. During his time at Toei Animation, he worked as a key animator on The Wonderful World of Puss in Boots, 1969, and made a 12-chapter manga as a tie-in to the film. He partially wrote the screenplay of The Flying Phantom Ship, 1969. In 1971, he developed structured characters and designs for Hiroshi Ikara's adaptation of Animal Treasure Island, which he created the 13 manga adaptation printed in Tokyo Sunbird from January to March 1971.
Let me stop you right there.
This is important context.
Yeah, but it's a lot of context.
Let me finish.
Like, how many fucking pages is this shit?
Oh my gosh, it's only this long.
Oh my god. Alright, continue. I'm just gonna mind my own business.
Okay, this is the juicy part of the stories. Okay, in 1971, both he and Takahata left Toei Animation and was hired at Studio A-Pro, where he would co-direct his first TV series with Takahata, the adaptation of Lupin III, now known today as Lupin III Part 1, or Season 1. Under the pseudonym Teruku Tsutomu. In 1972 and 1973, he would design and animate two shorts directed by Takahata, Panda Go Panda. In 1973, he and Miyazaki transferred studios again, moving from A-Pro to Studio Ezio, where they worked on the animation series Heidi, Girl of the Alps, an adaptation of Heidi. It was split in 1975 into two studios, and Ezio was absorbed the company Depth and maintained the rights to the Heidi anime and Nippon Animation, the latter of which Miyazaki and Takahata remained in. In this time, he worked on several projects. The probably most important one would be Miyazaki's Future Boy Conan, an adaptation of Alexander Keyes' The Incredible Tide. This is an adaptation that Key himself actually despised because it's a lot lighter in tone than his novel, and he told his estate to never allow the show to be released in North America, which was actually kept until 2021 when G-Kids obtained the license and released it on Blu-ray and DVD. 1979, Miyazaki left Nippon Animation and moved to Telecom Animation, a subsidiary of TMS Entertainment, where he would rejoin a familiar IP and direct his first animated feature, Lupin III, Castle of Cagliostro. While working at Telecom Animation, his next project would be on Sherlock Holmes, where he directed the first 6 episodes, and was there. He stayed until there were production delays due to copyright disputes with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's estate. By the time the issues resolved, he already left the series and was moving on to his next project. He made several attempts to direct his next feature film. He created Warring Stars Demon Castle to be set in the Sengoku period, and the adaptation of Corbin's Wolf. Both were rejected as the company was unwilling to fund anime projects not based on existing manga, and the rights for the adaptation of Wolf would not be secured.
That sounds like a problem we're having a lot now, though.
Yeah, no one really wants to fund original things. Okay, so during this time, I forget the exact year.
Oh, God.
This is supposed to be informative. Shut up.
No, it's supposed to be rambles, tangents.
I'm trying to be informative.
Informative? You're just reading off the wiki page, my dude.
No, that was before that was stuff I read. Now I'm reading off the wiki page.
Oh, okay.
Get your facts straight. Like I'm trying to do in the middle of the podcast. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now, let's see. In 1982, Miyazaki wrote the manga, which we all know, Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, which ran from February 1982 to March 1994. His publisher convinced him to adapt it into a film since he was having trouble getting original IPs to the screen.
That's a funny loophole.
Yeah. Miyazaki was at first resistant, but then he eventually gave in with the only stipulation to be that he would be the one to direct it. In this film, you have Hayao Miyazaki, Isao Takahata, and creator of Evangelion, Hideki... what's his name? Hideki Anno, where he would design and animate the scenes with the fire giants. The film Nausicaa Valley of the Winds was a huge success in Japan, and which gave Miyazaki and Isao Takahata enough financial and clout to fund their own studio Ghibli, which they would release their first official film, Castle in the Sky, also directed by Miyazaki in 1986.
And that's a wrap. Thank you for coming to the podcast today. We hope you enjoyed the history.
That was very, very important to me because I feel like people just want to focus on, Ghibli. But I think all prefacing, especially having gone back and rewatched a lot of his pre-Ghibli work, you kind of see the building blocks in a lot of his films. Like Future Boy Conan, there's a lot of elements and characters that kind of get in this, I don't say reuse because they're not derivative, but very similar to Castle in the Sky.
Don't mind me, I'm totally not searching Future Boy Conan. Oh, that's old. Yeah, well, I'm gonna just come out and say it here. You know more about these
yeah, I'm definitely the Ghibli fan.
Yeah.
The one wearing the Spirited Away shirt right now.
Yeah, and I am here to play the other side, the devil's advocate, if you must.
You're advocating against Ghibli, so...
I don't have a problem with Ghibli's films. The problem I have is just, for me personally, as a consumer, a lot of them just have, not animation-wise, a samey feel, but what their stories, not what the stories are trying to portray, but the feeling they're trying to make you feel, right? They're all
Oh,
feel
what?
good.
Have you watched Grave of the Fireflies?
Oh, I've watched that. I don't feel good, but it's makes you cry. That's the type of feel good they go for.
There's nothing feel good about crying at Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh, well,
it's a tragedy.
You feel something.
I just
You feel bad. You cry.
let's say I disagree with your opinion. I think you don't really have the knowledge of kind of watching a lot of the lesser known Ghibli films not directed by Miyazaki, because a lot of them are very tonally different than what North America English audiences associate with Ghibli. Like a lot of Isao Takahata's work, or the Fireflies mentioned, also Only Yesterday, My Neighbor's Yamada's Tale of Princess Kaguya, Pampoko.
Well, I tried watching My Neighbor's Yamada, but I couldn't get into it.
Okay, so the thing about My Neighbor's Yamada is that it's based on like an existing manga, so Japanese audiences would have gone in knowing who these characters and their dynamics are, and it's just kind of the joy about seeing it adapted for the big screen.
Yeah. There's a couple of shows that I give Ghibli's props for that I personally enjoy. Like The Wind Rises was a feels good. Oh, it was a feels.
It was a feels.
You feel good. And
a little fabricated.
It's like the wind. It goes up and then it comes down. And then you have your highs and your lows. Porco Rosso I enjoyed for the animation style. You also have Mr. Cat Returns. I appreciated that. It was pretty basic, but I appreciate it for its different take on the art style, you know? Because Studio Ghibli, yeah, they have the same art style that they use most of the time.
I disagree.
From any of their newer shows.
I kind of slightly disagree with you. I think I understand what you're saying, but there are films that are very visually distinct character design wise. Like I think Chihiro from Spirited Away, I haven't really seen a character look like her.
I'm not saying character style. I'm saying art style specifically.
Can you be more specific?
So you see how you can look at these two art styles? You look at Mononoke, and then let's look at Totoro.
Yeah.
It's similar shapes. You know what company animated it. You know.
Well, you say like that's a bad thing.
I'm not. It's just, but
I think
my brain is short attention span. I can't consume the same thing too much, and my brain thinks this stuff is the same. Because look, I'm looking at. I don't know.
I think each film has its own unique art direction.
It does.
It has its own tone. It has its own feel. It has its own world. And again, like outside of the Miyazaki stuff, there's a lot of I think underrated classics. Only Yesterday, Ocean Waves. I would say Arrietty, but Arrietty is very Miyazaki-esque.
What? Baro Arrietty?
Yeah, Baro Arrietty. A lot of people watched it thinking that Miyazaki like directed it. I think he just wrote the screenplay.
Yeah. Oh, I liked Arrietty.
Yeah.
I like
Tale of Princess Kaguya again. Gorgeous film. It's a film that went over budget because Isao Takahata, he tends to do that a lot in a lot of his works. But that's fine. That's what made him so great. That's why he's like one of the only artists that Miyazaki respects like 100%. So what would you say is your favorite Studio Ghibli film?
I like the more action or not action oriented style, but like the more visually different style that was Nausicaa, because it took place in its own different setting. Its own world was built by Miyazaki, so it's.
Did he not build Mononoke's world?
I didn't watch Mononoke.
You didn't watch Princess Mononoke?
I watched it, but I don't care enough. Because I didn't like any of the characters.
I'm surprised because
the boy got shanked immediately meeting Mononoke, and I'm like, you're thirsting for that? You just got stabbed.
She is a beautiful wolf girl. What's there not to get?
He's a simp.
You're acting like you wouldn't do the same.
She's
a beautiful wolf girl. She has this like cool dagger, this cloak. You're saying?
Let's be honest. Thinking about it realistically, Princess Mononoke lived out in the bush, in the forest, with wild dogs. She smells bad. She has never taken a shower. I think she would. God knows how long. I think
she would bathe in the river.
No, bro. She probably smells foul, dude. That his nose is probably like burning. Just whoosh.
Okay. Going a little off note. So I'm surprised that you don't like Princess Mononoke because a lot of people see Nausicaa Valley of the Wind and Princess Mononoke like very similar thematically, structurally.
Okay, structurally though, I found that I haven't watched Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind for some time, and I've only seen Princess Mononoke a couple of times.
Okay.
But like, I felt like Princess or Nausicaa had more stuff going on in the background. There was more things to keep my interests. Like there was either a scenic background or some kind of contraption derived from that world and the people's needs to stay in the valley, to stay alive, to breathe air. Whereas Princess Mononoke was just, they had some parts where it's just, well, I'm trying to remember scenes that I can recall, and all I remember is Kieran with its head in a basket, and then a giant boar that gets murdered in the beginning, and that's the only two things that stick with me.
You don't remember Lady Eboshi?
No.
She was an awesome, kick-ass girl boss. We loved.
She had a gun. That's all I remember.
I love complex villains, especially women villains.
You didn't like the evil dictator lady from?
So I think
Nausicaa?
she's cool, but I think, in my opinion, I think Lady Eboshi is a lot more realized as the character. I think part of the problem is that the person in Nausicaa, I forget.
I agree entirely because she's just there to be the big bad.
Yeah. Also,
really.
she kind of shares like the big bad role with someone else. But Lady Eboshi, she is kind of like, I wouldn't even say she's a villain.
You understand what you empathize with her.
I wouldn't even say she's a villain. Like, she is a complex antagonist. She is a good foil to San, and I think she is kind of one of the best Ghibli characters written.
Honestly, that's literally how you're supposed to write villains, as just an ideological foil to your
protagonist. And in the end, she's not killed. Like, she actually changes in the end, but she still keeps her core characters the same.
Honestly, personally, I think it's more or less what I look for when I watch a show. I prefer to be taken, I don't know. I guess I prefer the aesthetic of the few shows I did watch from Ghibli more than the other shows I watched and then like expunged from my memory.
So you never watched any of these growing up? Because I remember...
No, I've watched them. I've watched them.
Okay, which ones do you remember watching growing up? Because I remember
Totoro,
I watched
Totoro. I watched
Spirited Away.
Princess Mononoke was something I watched often.
Kiki's Delivery Service.
Kiki's I watched recently with you. Wind Rises. Kiki? Yeah, I watched Kiki.
When did we watch Kiki? Was that like a couple years ago?
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay.
I watched Wind. I watched Only Yesterday. Up on Poppy Hill. Up on Poppy Hill was... I had to force myself through that.
Well, I thought that was a cute movie.
Yeah, I'm not... Samuel, there's types of shows I like to watch.
Do you not like Slice of Life?
Berserk. I like watching Chainsaw Man. I like watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'm a shonen guy. I like feeling visceral and like violent that these shows like provide for me.
I think there is kind of the beauty and the quiet moments in the banal.
Yeah, I do. That's why I love The Wind Rises. The Wind Rises is beautiful. I love it. Visually, artistically, thematically, best show. Favorite show out of this studio.
Okay.
But everything else I feel like is just some different flavor of that feeling, right?
No.
Like, I went into with Wind Rises as my first the first Ghibli show I went out specifically myself to watch.
You saw that, okay.
And then I compared everything to that. Then, I don't know, man. It's just not my, it just doesn't speak to me. It's not my appeal.
For me personally, all these films are very different. Like, Only Yesterday is about, childhood, the transition from, like, preteen to teenager, the whole idea of like passions, pursuing your dreams. Kiki is about like being on your own for the first time, like being an adult. Totoro is just reminiscence of childhood. Like, they're all slice of life in a way, but they all explore very different experiences and parts about growing up.
Maybe that's just it. Maybe I just don't want to think about growing up.
We're past our prime.
Don't say that. Shut up. You're past your prime. I'm still in this. I don't know.
We're in the basement making a podcast.
Yes.
This is the lowest of the low.
No, we can find a deeper basement.
We could be making a podcast full of racist things. Honestly,
there's too many of those in the market, Samuel.
Honestly, I feel like if we did that,
Probably
one, it'd
views.
be vile. Two, I feel like it would actually get more engagement than we are now.
Probably.
That's so sad.
Not as sad as those children who died in a fucking war with America. Oh boy.
Jeez.
Yep.
That got dark there.
What do you mean? Studio Ghibli animated that.
I don't think they died from the war. They died from the
radiation. They died from the war.
No, they didn't. They did not die. Do you watch Grave of the Fireflies?
No, I think they ate poison.
No.
No, what did they eat? The kid died. I know the little girl dies first.
Okay. Basically, during like the last year, even last months of World War II in Japan, they lose their house and their mom. Their dad is out in the war. They go live with their aunt. And due to the war, due to just lack of resources, they both die from malnutrition.
Rip.
Yeah, like, they don't die from bombs or guns. They die just from the poverty that the war, caused. Die from radiation.
I swear they died from radiation.
No.
What show am I thinking of?
I don't know. There's another World War II anime film in this corner of the world, but no one dies from radiation in that film.
I vaguely remember something about a show with a little girl and a brother, and then the brother mistakes candy, or the little girl mistakes something toxic. Oh, that's Grave of the Fireflies.
No, not something toxic. Basically, she's playing with like a marble in her mouth, and she thinks it's candy. What are you talking about?
I don't remember. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's why I have a podcast.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
You are far more educated on this one specific topic than I am.
It just imprinted on me in my childhood, okay? Just something about it. Something magical.
So you're saying me watching Berserk as a child wasn't a good thing? I should have been watching Ghibli?
I mean, Berserk is amazing in its own way. Problematic things notwithstanding.
Yeah. Problematic? What do you mean? Griffith did nothing wrong.
I don't even know about that. Okay. Tangent. I'm sure there's a lot of history with this trope. I'm sure, I haven't read up to Berserk. I'm almost done with the original 1997 anime. From what I have read, I'm not a fan of evil demon that needs to reproduce by assaulting women. Like, that's just... I'm sure in Berserk it's done, like, as respectful as you can. Wait, I'm just not a fan of it.
Evil demon assaulting women to reproduce? They never had to do that.
I swear on the wiki I read that there are, like, demons or monsters that do that.
I know what some... Well, they do it because they're demons.
I know, but, like...
I know there is some point in the manga where... Spoilers.
Okay.
This is not Ghibli related, but there's some point where some guy's making an army out of half demons, and he's just indoctrinating women, getting them pregnant, and then they give birth to a demon child, and then the woman dies, and then they just go grab the next woman and do it again.
Okay, I'm assuming it was by force.
Yeah, of course. No! Oh, yes, willingly they would fucking die for their demon god.
I'm sure the trope has a lot of history. I'm sure it's not... untrue to the time period it takes place from, where they see women as just breeding machines. It's just one I'm uncomfortable with. Like,
but children dying is what you're okay with.
Children...
Fuck them kids, am I right?
I'm not necessarily comfortable, but I think it can be done artistically well and show kind of the tragedy and, like, earnestness. I think it's harder to...
Do you want tragedy and earnestness that is based off of real history that is also an anime? Which one would you like? Do you want the Vikings or do you want China? They're both equally fucked up, but I think the one with the Vikings is more so.
Okay. So a little Berserk tangent. I was actually, like, plot-wise, I wouldn't say fine with it, but I understood narratively about the tragedy with Casca, Griffith, and Guts. That scene, like, it's very intense. I have seen this scene, both the 2013 film adaptation and the
The
1997.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
They made too many
it's
movies about the Golden Age.
yeah, too many. It was only the 3 movies.
Yeah, I think so. I didn't watch them because my buddy told me that they were literally based off the Golden Age. I'm like, but I've already read and watched that. Why would I experience it 2 more times?
The scenes that aren't CG, the ones that are like hand drawn, usually it's just character moments between Guts and Griffith or Casca and and Guts. Like those are beautiful.
Those scenes are great.
Those are outstanding. Love it.
Characters are great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their foils, their development.
Mm-hmm.
Griffith is an exact. I love how Griffith is angelic in his appearance, everything you'd expect from a good person, but he's actually a demon.
Yeah.
Whereas Guts is literally fucking biting his way through his enemies, covered in blood, broken in every way, shape, or form, but he's technically fighting for a good cause.
Yeah. I also went over tangent on Berserk a bit, but also the reason I'm more receptive of the storyline where Casca within the
Casca falls in the cliff?
Yeah. What happens to Casca in the cliff, why I'm more kind of accepting is because the author does actually show, like, in depth as to kind of what kind of experience does. Like, Casca, Griffith, and Guts are all kind of childhood victims of that in a way. And there's a kind of love, like, an understanding and empathy as to that pain. It's more than just the trauma. Like, it's also about Griffith reliving his trauma with Casca, and then Casca embracing him. Like, it's also about that, which is why that scene, even though it's very harsh, like, I appreciate it narratively, but I don't really like the demons doing it, because I don't know the demons.
Oh, those demons? You didn't get to... Wait, you didn't
get I didn't read past the Golden Age. I didn't watch past the Golden Age.
Oh,
I just
you saw Griffith. Griffith.
I saw Griffith do the unspeakable things to Casca. And narratively, like, even though it's very harsh, I'm like, I can accept that. It's just I have a harder time stomaching what the demons do because I don't know the demons. They don't get character development.
I feel Griffith didn't. He just did that out of spite for Guts. Yeah, that's all it is.
It's a really messed up thing, but it is kind of in character for someone like Griffith to do just out of spite.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe intense possessiveness, anger, hatred towards Guts.
Yeah.
Like,
because
that's
Guts
why
left and he lost literally everything.
Yeah. That's why I can accept that with Griffith, because I do feel like they do set it up. They do put up the building blocks for that horrific thing, and it does explore his character, even though it does end up with Casca going through a lot of trauma. Whereas when the demons do it to random people, I'm like, I don't know what to feel. I don't know these demons.
Demons are bad. Guts will kill.
But I kind of... If you're going to explore assault, I do appreciate it when there is kind of a message that more than assault is bad.
Oh, you want a deeper story rather than...
Like, if you are going to use that in your story, I kind of want more deeper thing than...
You probably want to watch Vinland Saga, because Berserk is mostly, like, just really cool scenes drawn or animated really well.
Yeah.
Like... The first fight with the snake dude.
Okay.
That's a really cool scene. That's a really well animated scene.
Yeah.
It's just action fights. Oh, did we get to the arc with the caterpillar?
Again, I'm only watching the 97 anime.
Oh yeah, they skipped that arc. You didn't get to the caterpillar man.
No.
I remember now. The Golden Age arc is like, it starts like way in.
Also, I have to say, for a Golden Age, it's kind of a shitty Golden Age. Like, this is the best time of your life.
I mean, it's still compared to when Hell's doors were literally opened and Satanic Spawn were working their way about.
This is the Golden Age. The bar is low. The bar is literally in Hell.
No. The Golden Age was above Hell, and then shit goes south, and then someone literally opened the gates of Hell, and then it was, oh no.
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay. Anyways, back to
Ghibli. The reason why we recorded this episode. Okay, let me go into kind of a history of this one's a lot shorter. History of the studio's experience, kind of bringing it over the works of North America, because it's kind of crazy process
Well,
with
there were
multiple films having multiple dubs.
Well, they were one of the first few actually Japanese movies that were widely accepted in North America, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, other than them, what other shows were like bleeding through the cracks and getting over here, right? Not a lot.
I guess if we're talking about like the 90s, I guess Pokemon was like
Okay,
the
yeah,
first.
Pokemon would be. Then we'd have.
Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon,
I don't remember watching those movies. I was too young.
the TV shows.
Oh, the TV shows. I'm talking about like movies in theaters.
Movies. I guess Akira was the first
Yeah,
one.
Akira
would be the first one.
One
to
of
build
the
a
OGs.
fandom.
I believe you're. I don't know if Nausicaa saw that much.
So technically, okay, let me get to this. Nausicaa, which is technically not a Ghibli film, but we retroactively count as a Ghibli film. It was released theatrically in the United States by New World Pictures on June 13th, 1985, followed by a VHS release in December of the same year. There was a lot of edits to the film. This was a time where dub editors. This was right before 4Kids blew up. Yeah, they would make a lot of liberties to the script and to the dialogue to better fit American sensibilities.
Oh, you mean like Pokemon and their jelly donuts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. A lot of characters, names were changed, a lot of scenes edited out. Approximately 22 films was cut out for the original North American release, with Miyazaki did not like it at all. He was absolutely peeved. This is why he's very picky on how his works get adapted. And in the 1980s, Castle of the Sky was dubbed and produced by Magnum Videotape and Dubbing for international Japan air flights at the request of the Tokuma Shoten. It was briefly screened in the United States by Streamline, and the head of Streamline, he was kind of disappointed with the dub.
Yeah.
Even then, like this is kind of like bare bones, but it worked. And I think the Streamline team would also dub later My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, and then in 1996, that is when Walt Disney acquired the rights to dub the Ghibli library, because John Lasseter, who we do not stand, who is a creep and should not be working in the animation industry.
Yes, I totally know who that is.
He is the head of Pixar. He was fired for
Sexual harassment?
Yeah.
Was he the guy with the kid's feet?
No,
That's a different guy?
That's Dan Schneider. There's a lot of creeps in the industry.
There's a lot of creeps, period.
Yes.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
So, John Lasseter and Miyazaki, they were artists. They respected each other,
Yeah.
And so there was a deal that Disney would acquire the rights to release the films into English-speaking audiences on the caveat that none of the films could have any content censored or cut out. Which was a fair deal. But the kind of loophole in that Disney decided not to promote or record dubs for films that they felt would not fit
their
American audience. That is why films like Whisper Heart, Only Yesterday were not dubbed, because there's a scene where the main character talks about getting her first period in middle school, and Disney was very much against showing any content related to that, which is ironic because they actually do have a period short that was released, I want to say the 1950s, 1960s.
Politics.
Yeah.
All of it's bad.
Yeah. So Disney did dub all of the films and redub the films. So they did from up to Nausicaa to The Wind Rises, and then skipped a couple that they thought
would
not
fit
work.
their agenda.
But they did actually dub Pompoko, and that's the one with the tanukis and their...
Oh, with their balls?
Yeah. They did dub that one, but they did make a change from testicles to pouch. Because Americans didn't know what tanukis were. They didn't know the lore.
I mean, you have to give Disney that.
Yeah.
Though.
Like, I'm not going to expect the...
I'm imagining a middle-aged white woman in the, early 2000s to 90s, just taking little Jimmy and little Sally to go watch some Japanese cartoon. And then all the raccoon dogs run out of the bush and start beating people with their balls. With their big old raccoon balls. And then, after murdering a bunch of probably union workers. They grab their balls by their foreskins and then they start flying away or some shit.
They did the Super Mario World cave ground.
Yeah. They'd never play Mario. It would get canceled. Japan would get canceled.
Look
at me and tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I do think it is valuable to sort of look at things from another culture's perspective, because Japan has a weird thing with genitals and the fact that in a kind of adult, not safe for work kind of way, it has to be blurred or pixeled. But
that's the least American thing, though.
Yeah.
Just looking at something from someone else's shit.
Yeah, but in terms of like Japan, they have a culture where like families just like take baths together. There's communal baths, so like nudity between like close family members is not a big thing.
Yeah,
and that's also why you can show like little kids nude in Japan and like cartoons and stuff, because they don't really see it as perverse. Like it's so innocent to them that like if you see it perverse, then like you're the perverse one. That's why Goku can like be completely naked in the original Dragon Ball and like no censors about it.
So what we have to take here is the show should be canceled, not because the guys are being beaten with someone's nutsacks, but because the union workers are being beaten.
They'd actually dubbed that one.
Yeah.
They'd actually dubbed the union workers getting killed.
Yeah. That's why we should be banned. For the union workers.
Well,
union rights. Woo!
Yeah, Disney was like, union workers, that all right, I can vibe with that. Screw unions.
Capitalism, goddammit.
Capitalism wins upon Poco. That's so sad.
Damn it. No.
Okay.
He was right all along.
Tangents.
Okay.
So in 2011, G-Kids acquired the North American theatrical rights to distribute the films, while Walt Disney obtained the home video rights. And then I think in 2014 or 20... No, wait. Let me get the year right. In 2017, Disney relinquished its home video rights, with the exception of The Wind Rises, which was the last film that they personally dubbed, until all to G-Kids. The only film in the Ghibli library that G-Kids does not have is Grave of the Fireflies, because Sentai bought the rights and created their own dub for that, which they still hold the rights to.
Is the dub public?
What do you mean public? Like, you can buy it.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, meh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I've always questioned this business decision by Disney, because Disney now is all about like obtaining IP rights, so I'm kind of confused why in 2017 they wouldn't want to retain the rights to one of the most acclaimed studios in Japan.
I'm gonna open up my many years of business knowledge. Let me open this one-page book here.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you.
That's why you're not in business.
Well, I could learn it.
You could.
The dopamine isn't there. The interest isn't there.
Yeah.
I swear I can do it. Believe in me, sir.
Okay.
I don't know. But, okay, so... all this history aside, where do you think Ghibli stands now?
Well, Ghibli...
other than, like, a powerhouse.
Well, the thing about Ghibli is that it is this kind of big cultural landmark, both in Japan and just film and animation in general. But they've always struggled since the beginning to kind of expand past Miyazaki. There's always been a struggle, because Miyazaki has kind of just become ubiquitous with the studio, that it's kind of hard to deviate from that. A lot of people who worked with Miyazaki said that he's a very talented man. He appreciates hard work, but he's also kind of very scary as a boss, because he has such high standards for his works. He said that if he could animate the entire film by himself, he would. So anything that kind of deviates from his standards is kind of like critiqued very harshly. So
he's basically got a Quentin Tarantino vibe.
I'm not familiar with Quentin Tarantino as a person, so I don't know.
Reservoir Dogs. He made Kill Bill. He made a lot of really good action movies.
Yeah.
But kind of like Miyazaki, he's very particular in how he wants his scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he's had moments of reflection where he's taken opinions of other people and he's used them to help better himself, which is great, which actually did a lot of work in Reservoir Dogs when someone gave him advice on script writing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm just making the comparison that those two seem extremely similar.
There's also why Miyazaki, he's probably, I'm not sure if this is an official record, but he's probably the director that's gone in and out of retirement the most amount of times.
More than Tom Brady?
I don't know. Yeah, a lot of his films, there's like, this is my last one, this is my magnus opus, and then I'm piecing out. Because remember, this man's worked in animation since the 1960s, and he's still working today. I think he's exhausted, but he also loves the work. So let me go over what was supposed to be his final films. First, it was Princess Mononoke in 1997. That was supposed to be it and retire.
Yeah.
But then in 2001, he did Spirited Away, and that was supposed to be his final one. You know, won an Oscar. You kind of go out the top. Then
he came back.
2004, he came back for Howl's Moving Castle. So I was like, this is it. This is the final one. Then 4 years later, 2008, he came back with Ponyo, which admittedly is a lot shorter and a lot simpler than most of his other works, and maybe that one had a lot smoother process production-wise. I don't really know. Okay, that was supposed to be his final one. Then The Wind Rises. Okay, this is his kind of longest
I would
break.
call that his magnum opus.
I don't want to say strongly disagree. I just personally disagree.
That's all this is. It's just our opinions.
I mean, I haven't gone to my personal favorite. It's kind of cliche.
What is it?
But I've actually kind of had two. Because before, if you asked me a couple years ago, I would have said hands down Spirited Away. There's just sort of...
It's either Spirited Away or Mononoke.
No, not Mononoke.
Because it's always one of those two.
No. Spirited Away, because like artistically is such like a visual eye candy. Like every little detail, the bathhouse, the spirits is just like
it's visually pleasing.
Like
there's a
thousand ideas. The emotions the characters feel. Haku, like the dragon boyfriend to Chihiro, like I
agree. The pain of the artist's hand, I can feel it through the visuals.
Yeah. Also like the themes about it's like environmentalism, of spirituality, of still staying connected. There's this whole journey for Chihiro to grow and become more mature as a person. Like I love it. Like it fills me with so much emotions. I can't really put into words how much that movie has affected me.
Yeah.
But another movie that I wouldn't say is underrated, but that I've come to appreciate a lot more is Kiki's Delivery Service, because going to that transition to Kiki, going from I'm just a kid with no problems to I am she's basically an emancipated adult. She has to find her own place, find her passion in life. She has to pay the rent. The scene where she's just why am I doing this anymore? I am in a cycle. I'm literally working for the sake of working. Why? I've forgotten why I'm doing this. And she just has a kind of a artistic breakdown. That hit me so much, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, I feel I guess I can see where you're coming from, where when you were younger you couldn't see the appeal, or you didn't respect it for what it was.
I liked Kiki, but I didn't. It kind of hit me in a different way as an adult.
As you grew up, you can. It's like coffee. As a kid, you hate that stuff, and then as you grew up,
Kiki.
Well, no, not hate it, but you didn't see the appeal in it.
Yeah.
Or you saw the appeal in it, it just wasn't for you. And then as you got older, your tastes got more refined. You got more experience, more wisdom, and you're just hey, this shit's actually pretty good.
Yeah. No, I love Kiki. I definitely want to cosplay as her. One, it'd be super cute. Two, it's kind of simple. You just need a purple dress and a bow.
And a broom. And a cat.
And a broom. I have the cat. I actually have a stuffed Gigi.
It's a stuffed animal, right? Not an actual cat?
No, it's a stuffed animal. It's a stuffed animal.
Happy Halloween! Oh, fuck.
Yeah, okay, so... Yeah, so studio... Tangent. Studios always had problems with...
keeping their
expanding
workers.
past Miyazaki.
Yeah.
So... The first kind of problem they went with was with Ocean Waves, which was one of the only Ghibli films that actually not for theaters, actually made for TV. It was supposed to be this smaller budget film. It was directed by, Tomomi Michizuki.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be this kind of experiment to allow a lot of these new artists who, was inspired by Ghibli, that wanted to join the studio and work with them. It was supposed to be like a training thing.
Yeah.
That's why it was made for TV. It was supposed to be a smaller budget. What happened was that it went way over budget. It took way longer than anticipated, and it kind of didn't recoup a lot of its money back.
Wait, hold up. Who'd they have directing it then?
I just said Tomomi Mochizuki.
Well, I guess I don't know how experienced Tomoe is.
But it's Ocean Waves, I think, is a pretty solid film. The problem was just like
management, I guess.
It was management. Like this
amateur.
Was supposed amateur, but like in a good way. Like they're new artists. Like this was supposed to be kind of their first step into, feature film and stuff. But it was just like too costly and too time consuming for it to actually be done again. This is kind of the only time Ghibli's done this kind of experiment, and they couldn't do it again. Not because there wasn't any merit to it, just because it wasn't financially sustainable.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, that makes sense. It's a company first before it's an art factory, more or less.
Yeah, and then 1995, Whisper of the Heart, which is to many Ghibli fans like the best slice of life non-magical film. I know you're snaking with The Wind Rises, but to a lot of especially kids that grew up with it.
I wouldn't call myself a Ghibli fan, but yeah.
Like this is kind of, in a lot of eyes of Ghibli fans, the best non-magical, non-fantasy slice of life film. It was directed by Yoshifumi Kondo, and this is a person that Miyazaki personally chose to be his replacement as like an important executive director at Ghibli. He worked on the film with him. He wrote the screenplay and he directed it, and he died due to overwork.
Oh.
Yeah. This is kind of a heartbreaking tragedy, because there is probably so much potential in him to make so many more great films and just live his life.
But, Japan work at...
Well, technically he didn't officially die from overwork. He died from an aneurysm.
It can be either way, but...
Yeah, but Miyazaki kind of said that because of his death, he kind of scaled back on the workload that he put on his animators.
Yeah. No, that's like I said last episode, that's a cultural issue. That's...
Yeah. I guess I should credit myself. It's not like overwork was on official death, but it was one of the factors that people suspect might be cause of aneurysms.
A lot of animators and just general are just, you see them.
They're getting paid way too little.
You see those bags?
Yeah.
Jeez,
they literally held the entertainment industry in 2020. Like, they were the only ones that could reliably make new content, and they were treated like garbage.
Pain.
Okay. Then there was Howl's Moving Castle. So I'm not sure if you know this. Are you familiar with the works of...
I'll stop you right there. You've already mentioned if I'm familiar with a person. I'm going to say no.
Okay. Are you familiar with the film Wolf Children?
Yeah,
Summer
I've
Wars,
watched Wolf Children.
Digimon, the first movie.
No, I didn't watch Digimon.
You didn't watch Digimon?
I don't like Digimon. I watched Pokemon.
Digimon...
you don't understand middle school tribalism. You're either Team Yu-Gi-Oh, Team Pokemon, or Team Digimon. I already made a lot of enemies jumping from Yu-Gi-Oh to Pokemon.
What enemies are there? Who's Team Yu-Gi-Oh? Name me a person who's Team Yu-Gi-Oh.
I mean, I could name people who actually play Yu-Gi-Oh. But
I mean, like, the franchise.
Team
like,
Yu-Gi-Oh?
Pokemon's just way more iconic.
Yeah, it is, but people still play Yu-Gi-Oh. It's why we
still
have the card
game.
game.
Talking about the part. I just meant the franchise. Okay, so Mamoru Hosoda. Are you familiar with the name?
No, of course not.
Okay. Are you familiar with Summer Wars?
No. Never watched
Wolf Children.
Yes, I've watched that.
The Girl Who Leapt Through Time?
Yeah, I watched that.
The Boy and the Beast.
Nope.
Belle.
Oh, I want to watch that one. No, I never heard of Belle.
Mirai, Boy of the Future?
Nope.
Okay.
Is there violence or action in any way, shape, or form?
There's a couple of fight scenes in Boy and the Beast, but it's kind
Probably
of...
why I want to watch it.
It's more about a father-son adopted relationship.
Yeah, I remember vaguely watching a little bit of it in the beginning and just never getting back to it.
Yeah, okay. So, Howl's Castle, an adaptation of a 1986 novel of the same name, very loosely, by the way. It originally, Mamoru Hosoda, he was the one that was chosen to direct it. He was chosen by Studio Ghibli to be like, a lot of his work was kind of Miyazaki-esque. There was a kind of similar vibes. They thought artistically he might be a good fit for the studio, and he was working on it, and then part way through production they were like, this isn't going to work, this is not what fans of Ghibli necessarily want from us, and so they fired him partway through, and he was replaced with Miyazaki just because the studio was kind of too afraid to deviate from what they perceived the fans wanted.
That seems really stupid. I feel like that seems more like Miyazaki's just too hands-on with his work. Like you said earlier, he wants to be in every...
Yeah.
He would animate it himself if he could.
Yeah, like I think a lot of the big ones is like he, directed, produced, and screenwrote for the plays, and or not plays, the films. And, that's kind of why they're kind of very Miyazaki-esque, but that's also kind of why it's been so hard for the studio.
Yeah, he's been too much of a helicopter parent. He's been supervising so much. Now that he's gone, the studio can it has the expectations of all the fans that it has to deal with, and just sure, they can't deviate too much on what they want to do. They can't, for my personal opinion, they can't tread new waters and experiment with new styles or new things in fear of the backlash of their fan base, or in fear of Miyazaki literally coming back from the grave to fucking fire them and take over.
I don't think Miyazaki was the one who personally fired Mamoru Hosoda. I think at the time, executives, they kind of let him go, and they kind of asked Miyazaki to come back and finish the film.
That seems... I don't know. Artistically, I would rather just have him do it and just finish the project, but as a company, as a business, if you would always go for the safer option. Always go for the option that makes you money. And
that's why Illumination does so well.
I don't... You specify. You say names. I don't have...
that's Despicable Me, Minions. This new Super Mario movie.
I hate Illumination for the mere fact that they made it so Megamind wasn't that series. They made it so Despicable Me was that series.
Megamind's not Illumination.
I know it is an Illumination, but it's that series of bad guy gone good.
Oh, okay.
That I wanted. I want more Megamind.
Oh, we love
I hate
Megamind.
Will Ferrell, but I love him as Megamind.
You don't like Will Ferrell?
He's actually an asshole in real life.
Oh, I thought you meant as like an actor.
It's kind of cringe as an actor.
But we kind of love the cringe.
Yeah, but humor doesn't age well.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to Studio Ghibli, this is kind of deemed as like the worst, at the time, the worst Ghibli movie ever released, and kind of a black kind of spot on their history. Tales of Earthsea, an adaptation of books of the same name, written by Ursula K. Actually, it was not the same name, sorry. Wizards of Earthsea, Tunes of... Basically, it's a series written by Ursula K. I haven't read them personally, so I don't know. Sorry, fans, don't come at me.
Fake fan! Fake fan!
Yeah, so I haven't read the books, but it was supposed to be an adaptation of that. This was Goro Miyazaki's son's first directed film, and it was very on the record that Hayao Miyazaki was very against his son going into directing. Not because he was talentless, but because, in his own words, Goro Miyazaki had a lot more experience with like architecture and drawing and not in directing, and he didn't believe in his abilities as much.
I mean... It hurts when Daddy says that, but...
I'm sure being Goro Miyazaki is not pleasant.
No. Yeah, I feel like working in Studio Ghibli is not that pleasant, because you have so... I'm going to come back and say it again. Having that mantle, that pedestal that expectations, that shadow hovering over you that you have to live up to is a very oppressive feeling. It's gonna suck. Because I honestly just say they put Miyazaki in the box and they send him out and just try to do their own thing. Because like Miyazaki, you've done great work. I don't like all your movies and all your content that you've produced, but like or directed, but like not everything's gonna be a gem, you know. Sometimes you get a lump of coal.
What Miyazaki directed film do you not like?
Huh? Oh, you want me to go through the list now?
Okay, but specifically Miyazaki.
Specifically Miyazaki?
Yeah.
Let me pull up the list of films because I'm not going to know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
Neighbor Totoro?
You don't like Totoro?
No, not
That's literally the mascot.
Too cute. It wasn't.
I don't understand these words. Too cute.
No.
What's wrong with cute?
Nothing. It's just too much of it's bad for the blood pressure. Ponyo? Trash. Hit it. Absolutely.
You have no heart. You have no soul.
I just hear that. I hear that dubbed girl's voice screaming for ham, and it literally keeps me up at night.
Oh my god!
It triggers me.
Then watch the original Japanese.
No, it's too late.
It's literally a children's book come to life.
Oh, I don't like children's books.
The bright pastel color.
I don't watch children's books, man. That's why I read manga.
It's a Japanese version of the Little Mermaid. I don't like the Little Mermaid. Okay.
Anyways, I'm dead to you. It's fine. I can live with that. Up from Poppy Hill. Not
he didn't direct that.
Oh, he didn't?
No,
I'm not too hot on that. Only yesterday, I'm not too hot on that.
He didn't direct that either.
I'm not hot on it either.
Yeah, it said the Miyazaki film specifically.
Well, I gave you two that I don't like. Okay. One and I'm not a fan of either.
Okay, now you're just crazy.
Spirited Away, I was okay. I watched it. It scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Well, that's why we love it.
I was like 5 and I saw a fucking giant black blob swallow a dude alive.
And I was 6. What's your point?
That's fine. Yeah, that's true. I watched Berserk and I came out fine.
This is what fans of horror call an awakening.
Anyways, Porco Rosso. Best show that Ghibli made that's non-magical. I stand by the fact that he's not actually a pig. He's just a fuck ugly bastard.
No, he's an actual pig.
An actual ugly bastard. He's just ugly.
His curse is broken at the end.
No, he's just really ugly. Okay. It didn't fix anything. He just looks the same. He's just a really ugly Italian guy.
That's not a pig. That's just an Italian.
Hey, you take that back.
You're not Italian.
I'm Croatian. It's half close enough. Yeah, he's just a really ugly bastard. Anyways, Howl's Moving Castle. That's not Miyazaki, but
no, that is Miyazaki.
Is it?
I just told you. We just talked about it.
Haruo
Masada, he was chosen to direct it, and then Miyazaki took over partway through production.
Yeah, I wasn't interested in that either.
No, but Howl, he's like boyfriend material. I kid you not. I watched that film in theaters when they did the re-release, and it was full of women, girls. And like the second he came on screen,
bro, if I have a man crush, it's for like a character like Odo Ore Monogatari from Tora. You know, the big buff dude in the really girly watercolor art style, and he has a girlfriend that's like. Oh,
you don't understand the Bishonen twinkish appeal.
I don't. I watch shonen. I want big buff people, dude.
You don't get it. You don't get the female. You don't get the gay or the female desire.
We need different perspectives. What would it be if we just? I know people listen to podcasts so they can listen to people tell them the things that they agree with, but like we're different. I have more interest. I'm more interested in someone that's like stronger, someone that looks reliable, and like how just.
He turned into a bird.
He looks like he can't take a punch.
I think you're just twink.
If I'm in a fight and I can't count on you to back me up, what good are you?
I think you just have, a bias against twinks.
I grew up watching Full Metal Alchemist. You don't like my favorite character was Armstrong and Al's teacher's husband. Those are my two favorite characters. Why? Because they literally threw hands with demigods and they got out on top. What is not to love?
I don't see how Howl doesn't live up to your expectations. Like
when he starts casting spells by throwing hands, then we'll talk.
Okay, but you don't understand. Like There was an audible sigh, like the the second Howl appeared on screen, like all of the girls and probably some of the gays in the audience, they were silently cheering.
Was it audible sploosh?
I wouldn't say sploosh. I wouldn't go that far.
Oh,
but
okay.
he is so precious. He is so I can fix him.
You can fix him.
I can fix him. He's just a little vain. I can fix him.
Sophie literally fix yourself. How are you supposed to fix him?
Sophie literally gives back his heart. Okay, he's fixable. Okay, I will.
Gives back his heart.
Oh my god.
If he knew how to throw hands, he wouldn't have lost it in the first place.
Okay, you know what? You don't even watch the movie because you don't even know how he lost his heart.
No, I didn't. I watched the first few bits of it, and I'm like, meh, I'm good.
You missed the part where he turned into a bird person.
That was really cool. Bird person? No, I'm good.
Okay.
Call back to me when Studio Ghibli makes a shonen, or makes something more action oriented.
Wouldn't technically Princess Mononoke be the closest thing to a shonen?
Yeah, and I lost interest after the guy stopped fighting the pig.
Yeah,
it was a really well animated scene. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I love that first fight scene. I watched the movie. I watched all of it. The fight scenes are great. I'm getting vague flashbacks to it. That scene where he pulls up to the Kirin and sees it for the first time.
Yeah, how about the spark, the chemistry between...
Which one? The spark from the flintlock when they were blasting that spirit after they cut its... Or were trying to kill it, or after they were trying to kill it?
Oh my god. You don't like Ashitaka and San? They're not couple
I don't even know who Ashitaka is.
He's the main guy.
Oh.
He's a prince that was cursed. Oh my god. Okay.
Hey, we all have our own preferences.
Yeah, and your preferences are trash. Okay.
You only watch Ghibli.
I do not only watch Ghibli.
Okay. Name another anime movie that came out this year that you've watched. That isn't like... I don't know. You're not only Ghibli. You're only a specific genre of anime.
That's not true. I am a big fan work of Satoshi Kon, Mamoru Hosoda, the person who did Lou Over the Wall. I forget his name. He did really surreal stuff. He did Devilman Crybaby, the Netflix
I don't
one.
know. You're more of the artsy fartsy feel. I'm just more of like, I just want violent stuff. I want to just feel visceral, archaic, primal desires. Give me my Vinland Saga.
Your Sword of the Stranger.
My Sword of the Stranger. Give me my, it looks good and it's just violent and that's all.
Is Princess Mononoke not violent enough you?
No.
The main guy decapitates a person.
There's not enough choreography in the fights.
That's so beautiful.
What do you mean? Sword of the Stranger is beautiful.
Princess Mononoke is stunning. I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you crazy? Yo, fuck. Look, you see this man doing flips, throwing blood, throwing snow in the middle on top of a tower, using their architecture, using their surroundings to help gain the slight edge over a neck-and-neck fight of one warrior being years old, like hundreds of years old, potentially, and another warrior just being someone who has to make up for his past, for something he failed to protect originally. Now he's got a second chance at it, potentially.
I'm not knocking down Sword of the Stranger. I'm just saying I don't see how you could watch Princess Mononoke and say that is not stunning.
It's visually stunning, yes, but like it's not for me.
Okay. Anyways.
This is hurting you more than it's hurting me.
Yes. You are hurting all of the Ghibli films out there. They want to kill you, probably.
Oh, good. Come at me in a fight. Seeing the twinks that have your back, yo, I think I could throw heads.
Howl could end your ass in a second.
He's a bird. I'll fry him and eat him with butter.
Oh my god.
He doesn't even have a heart.
He gets his heart back in the end if you watch the whole film.
Oh, if he was stronger, he wouldn't be broken in the first place.
You don't even know how he lost it. He did not lose it because he was weak.
He put it down and he forgot it. Did he?
No. You didn't even watch the movie.
I didn't. I know there's isn't there like a broom man or like a scarecrow dude that just hops around?
Turnip head.
And then, I know there's a fire.
Calcifer.
Calcifer?
Yeah.
I feel like that's supposed to be a reference to something. Anyhow.
Oh my gosh.
You wanted to talk about Ghibli. You did this to yourself.
I thought it'd be fun because we'd have very conflicting opinions, and I was right.
Well, you're just like everyone else on the internet. If your opinion isn't the same as yours, it's death.
I don't necessarily mind different opinions. I'm just thinking yours are very out there.
I'm not a fan of Studio Ghibli.
Okay.
I'm like.
Okay, so. Where was I? Oh my God. Okay.
I heard you so bad.
Tales from Earthsea. It was released to very negative reviews. It's at the time it was released. It was the only Ghibli film to actually have a negative score in critics.
Tales of Earthsea. Where is it?
Yeah, here we go. 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, 47 on Metacritic.
Is it just a poorly constructed film?
I've watched it. It's hard to describe. It's both very dense with plot, but also very slow and nothing really happens.
Oh, so it's poor director. That's all it was.
I think it was just very hard to adapt 4 very lengthy fantasy novels into one film.
Oh, 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just bad directors. Buddy was up shit creek without a paddle.
Yeah. Though, ironically, one of the only few positives that he got from it was from his dad, Hayao Miyazaki. He watched it in theaters and he said, I liked it. He kind of very simply said it. I think
father, he's proud. Okay,
I think he was proud of his son.
Yeah,
he had a very bad relationship with him.
Yeah,
and he was trying to be supportive. Ursula K, she was not a fan of the film. She absolutely hated it and eviscerated it. I think she vowed never to have her work adapted again.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, Ursula's dead. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Let's see. What other works did the son make, though?
He did From Up on Poppy Hill. He directed that.
Oh.
I know you don't like him. I think it's actually a cute film.
No, I don't like it because it isn't my interest.
Okay. I actually think, it is a very good, character study for these two teens. I think it's very... a realistic kind of teenage love story, minus the pseudo-incest plot. Do you not know what I'm talking about?
No, I know what you're talking about. It's just the show was too slow.
I thought it was actually interesting, as a period piece from that time in Japan where they're kind of moving into industrialization and sort of the idea of what values, do we keep, what do we tear down moving forward.
Incest. We'll start with that.
There's no incest in the film, for those who haven't seen it. There is a scare because I forget their names, but basically the main girl and the main guy is the two love interests. There's a misunderstanding where they think that he is the illegitimate son and half brother of her because his parents adopted him and he got it from her dad, the baby, him. So there's kind of a misunderstanding. It's they're half siblings or full siblings or something. And then okay, to break it off, and then the two are you know what, I don't care if you are my sibling, let's go for it anyways. That happened. Then she talks to her mom, who probably knows the story, and because her father's no longer here because he died in the Korean War, I think.
Goddamn Japan picking fights.
Yeah. So she talks to her and be he's not actually her son. Basically, he was the son of one of the war buddies that didn't make it, and so he just her father decided to raise him or as long as they could. They didn't have the money, so they gave him to the couple that recently lost their child.
Don't worry, not blood.
So there's no blood relationship, but the main characters were willing to overlook it. I think it's based on a manga, so I don't really think we can blame this on
Burn it.
Goro Miyazaki.
Burn it.
And I do think this is definitely his best film that he's directed. Okay, more troubles arise with Tail Prince of Kaguya, which I said was very expensive, and I think it made a lot of money, but I'm not sure if it made back a lot of money in relationship to how much it got at the box office. Okay, so it was a budget of $49 million and box office of $27 million. So that was actually a box office failure. unfortunately, which is such a shame because it is such a beautiful looking film. The last film that Studio Ghibli released as like a Studio Ghibli like feature was When Marnie Was There, an adaptation of a book. I'm not sure if it's of the same name. Yeah, of the same name.
Yeah.
And then for a while they kind of just went on hiatus. In 2016, they co-produced a film, a silent film with a French studio called The Red Turtle. And
I think I heard about this one.
I watched it. It's actually pretty. It's a pretty surreal watch. I don't think you'd be into it because there's no dialogue. It's very artsy. Just kind of a lot of surreal things that happen.
Does it tell a story through visuals, or is it
like it does tell a story visual? So
or is it like an acid trip?
a little of both. So some parts you don't really know what is reality. There's kind of magic surrealism. So there's this man, he gets stranded on this island and he tries to make several escapes of it, builds boats, etc., etc. And every time he's foiled by this red turtle.
Make him into soup. Problem
Yeah.
solved.
So one day he kind of just naps, and like when the turtle ends up kind of beach shored on the sea on its back, he like kind of just takes a stone and just goes wailing at it. And he's really depressed and he kind of regret what he does, and all of a sudden comes out of the shell is a beautiful, I think, naked woman who has red hair, who may or may not be the turtle. Probably is the turtle.
And then he took the woman and threw her back into the ocean where she belonged.
Then it's kind of weird. Like it's just a vibe. There's not really a plot. Like I think it's a cool watch, but I don't think you would personally be into it.
No, I could watch it. Just I gotta call my buddy, my supplier first before
Supply what?
Don't worry about it. Anyway.
Yeah, so they did that. I don't think it was released as a Ghibli film. It was just a co-produced film. And then recently, their most recent one was in 2020,
Is this
the
a
year
turtle?
of the pandemic. No, it's not a Koopa.
Oh.
In 2020, they released... this is the only Ghibli film I haven't watched. I've literally watched all of them, even
Fake fan.
Tales from
Fake fan.
Earthsea. Okay, I couldn't get past the initial,
What, more incest?
No, I meant the CG. Like,
is it the new one?
Yeah,
You showed me.
Earwig and the Witch, also directed by Goro Miyazaki.
You know what? I think I'm gonna watch this one just because it's something out of they're treading new waters, and I can respect that. It's not the same.
They're treading new waters, but an all CG film from this kind of
A studio that has little to no experience with CG.
No,
yes.
they have some experience with it. Oh gosh, what's that? Is a studio that Miyazaki himself was like, I hate 3D animation. Absolutely not. He's kind of lightened on it. He's like, I was kind of too harsh on it. Like, it is a tool.
Yeah.
Can be used artistically well. But he himself is just not a fan. He's a very big 2D person. The studio kind of is renowned for its 2D animation. And so, Earwig and the Witch, a movie I've not seen, which is all completely CGI, is just not going to appeal to me.
You have a hate boner for CG?
No, I don't.
If you're a real fan, you'll watch that show just because
I will
you
eventually
respect them
watch
and you
it.
want to see what they can do as a first-time attempt in a new platform and a medium they have never touched.
I don't know. It's just, when the last film that they've released was like When Marnie Was There, and the last Miyazaki film was The Wind Rises,
Don't
and the
worry.
last Takahata film was The Tale of Princess Kaguya.
Don't
I
worry.
really want to...
Don't.
I have a bias.
Okay, so when I'm consuming content, when it's like on the internet, or if it's a story, or if it's whatever, I pay no attention to the author. I pay no attention to whoever directed it, to whatever.
Okay.
Because that gives me a bias.
Yeah.
And I hate biases. So I'd rather go into something not knowing anything about its creator, because if you do that, you get... What's that one shown in anime where its author is like a pedophile or some shit?
Oh, right. You have to be more specific. That applies to a lot of people nowadays.
Rurouni Kenshin?
Was that the name of the manga or the?
Yeah, that's Ronin Kenshin. pretty sure the author got caught with child pornography.
And he faced like no jail time.
No, I'm pretty sure he got caught multiple times.
No, like he faced no jail time.
Oh.
Like I think they're like he got a slap on the wrist punishment. It's like you're free to go, and then the studio, those publishers still like let him work.
Yeah, no, I can't. Stuff like that just kills a series for me. I don't want to think about it.
You go, your mindset is death of the author. Know nothing about the author. Kind of just
don't know your heroes because you learn about them and then you fucking want to kill them.
Judge a work just based on its own merits.
Exactly.
Which I think is valid in its own way, but I personally think it's kind of limited when kind of just interacting, engaging with media.
Like, I think you have to do it. You have to do it for this studio. Why? Because you're always gonna compare it to that fucking bastard looking at us right now. I see you, Miyazaki. I know I put you on that wall.
It kind of helps me to know like what the director's inspirations were, what their personal lives were. Like that's kind of
then that's on you. You ruined the show for yourself. Nobody ruined it for you. Yeah, you looked into it. You're like, impossible. Oh, it's not as good as these other shows that this fucking phenomenal grandpa made. Even though he's literally on life support and living on borrowed time, it's not going to be as good as anything he makes.
It was just that again, this was within the advertising itself. They wanted you to know this was the first Ghibli film since when Marnie was there. It's like been 6 years since Ghibli actually released a film. And I was sort of like underwhelmed by the visuals and be like, I'm going to.
Because you're holding it to that old standard. You're holding it to everything else this man built.
Okay, even without the whole. Turn off your phone. Even without the whole Studio Ghibli thing, like I thought the visuals were kind of underwhelming. And, I did judge a book by its cover, or in this case, its poster.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel justified in it, because as of now, it's kind of the lowest Ghibli film ever released. It has a 29% Rotten Tomatoes and 46 on Metacritic. Not that these review sites are objective, that's the truth. There are a lot of movies with negative reviews that I still love, personally.
Venom!
Goofy movie.
Yeah, everyone liked the Goofy movie.
Critics didn't.
Actually
had negative reviews.
Hollywood's corrupt, so whatever.
Yeah.
Just shut up and watch that movie.
I will eventually.
Fake fan. Fake fan.
I don't want to hear this from you. You never even bothered to watch.
I never said I was a fan. Not once did I say I was a fan.
Okay.
I think I've been pretty clear throughout this entire podcast that I was not a fan.
Okay, so the studios have been struggling a lot, since Miyazaki's multiple retirements and just inability to cultivate new talent that kind of has their own visions but still fits in with the Ghibli sensibilities. But not necessarily all hope is lost for the studio. So Miyazaki, the bastard that he is come out of retirement for let me count this. There's a retirement once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Okay. He's out of retirement for the 5th time to direct an unnamed film. Actually, no, it is his name. How Do You Live?
Poorly.
Inspired by the 1937 novel of the same name. He is back in his 90s, I think, because he's very, very old man.
Fucking on
No, he's not 90s. He's 81. He's 81.
This movie's literally going to kill him.
I mean, if it didn't kill him in the past, why would it kill him now?
Well, he's older now, so you got that.
Well, at the time Do you
think they put this man on ice in between movies?
I'm just
when
saying
they need him, they fucking pop that.
I'm just saying he was 70-something when he directed The Wind Rises.
He's an old bastard, bro. Let this man rest.
I think he dies. I think he does it to himself.
Oh, man.
Not to victim blame.
This is the detriment to the studio because it's going to be garbage unless they have this man at the helm, and unless they get a Ouija board and they call this man when they need him for support.
I don't think Japan believes in Ouija boards. They believe in
then they're both. They're fucked.
They believe in talking to spirits or mediums. I don't think the Ouija board is a Japanese thing.
They better put the best one on staff if they want to keep using this man.
Okay. So I was just saying, not all hope is lost for the studio. So, in 2017, Marrying the Witch's Flower, produced by Studio Ponok, was released. The studio was founded by former Ghibli employees who, kind of read the writing on the wall and be like, well, there's no hope for us in the studio. We gotta make it on our own. And
fuck the fact that they're seeing this now. Not when he retired the first time. Oh, buddy.
I think... Okay. So, Studio Ponok, founder by Yoshihaka Nishimura. He worked at Studio Ghibli. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Tale of Princess Kaguya. He founded Ponok, and then they made Marrying the Witch's Flower based on a novel of the same name. Ghibli loves to base things on novel. It kind of saves a lot on
original works.
World building. I don't think adaptations are inherently bad. Okay. And it
Just
was released.
Make your own manga and then publish it.
Not all of us can be Miyazaki. Not all of us can work.
Well, they clearly want to be Miyazaki, even though they keep calling him his butt back from the grave.
Okay. Well, as I said, the reception to Marrying the Witch's Flower was actually positive, though a lot of people said that it was kind of very reminiscent of Studio Ghibli, and let's say didn't reach its full potential, but they saw a lot of promise in the studio. So, Studio Ponok, and they made Modest Heroes in 2018, and they have a third film in the works, The Imaginary. So, even though Studio Ghibli possibly could, not exist in the future, I think a lot of the influence and talent of Ghibli will still live on.
They will be a cornerstone in the future animators that grow up and make their own content in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Will they die and become a martyr, or will they progress and become a Disney? Who knows? But you know what? Let's appreciate them for what they are now, and is a old man's life support.
Miyazaki is not senile.
Or is the old man the life support for the studio? I think it's the other way around.
You're not wrong necessarily. Okay, so I think that's all that we could possibly talk about with the studio. That's all I could possibly talk about it with my love for the studio and my indifference my co-host has.
Indifference? More like, I don't know enough. You have literal textbooks of information. I just have me here with my wrong internet opinion.
I love the studio, what can I say? Studio Ghibli will always be an iconic part of many people's childhoods, and just it'll be forever homaged in countless films. Every director will say Miyazaki is one of the greatest directors, my favorite director. His legacy will live on even if the studio itself doesn't.
Yeah.
And we can love and appreciate all of the time and effort that they put into their works, even ones that I didn't necessarily love.
Yeah. Me too. I can relate to that part.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
Okay. We've gone on for a very long time. I've gone on for a very long time. This is our longest episode yet out of 2 episodes.
Huzzah. 2.5.
2.5 episodes.
We don't talk about the episode 0.
That's a secret episode 0.
If you give us money, we'll probably show it. Who knows? Anyways, it's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed us. Well, what? Rants, Rambles, and Tangents.
You don't know our name?
I don't know my name. I don't know my name. That's why I'm asking the audience to give me one.
Okay. We hope you enjoyed this episode, or at the very least tolerated us if you know us in real life and we told you about this podcast. We appreciate you. And we hope you join us next time, where we talk about... Actually, we haven't chosen a topic. I guess you'll find out in a couple of weeks.
Hey-o.
Peace out. Night.